Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the oldest hit obbies to ever exist. We'll be going back as far as 2017 or 2016. You may not have heard of some of these hit obbies, you may have played some of the more recent ones, but I hope that I can include a few hit obbies that you've never heard of to fascinate you. We'll start with the most recent and work our way back. Thank you and enjoy the video. Tower of Otherworldly Expertise is a tower made in 2018 by the verifier of Tower of Glory, Eternity. I probably pronounced that wrong, but whatever. It was a very creative and interesting tower for its time. It had a lot of unique purism, and it was only made up to 9 floors before the creator gave up on it. Crimson If picked it up in 2020, completed the last floor, polished it up, and published it, and the first victor of it was Skitsuna. Now this tower is very interesting due to the creative purism it has, which wasn't really seen in many obbies back in that time. It has a lot of interesting truss jumps, wraparounds, and unique type gameplay, which really makes it stand out from all the other towers being released at the time. It was also really difficult for when it was made. It was much harder than any other tower made at the time, and it was fairly consistent in difficulty as well, so you've got to laud Eternity for making a decent tower back in 2018. The final test is a tier 13 obby made by Regionality. It was created for Obby Legion, which was a series of obbies with ranks which you could achieve for beating more and more difficult obbies. This was the final test of the intermediate obby series, which meant it was pretty hard back then. It has some extremely difficult jumps in the first stage, and it's a 2-staged obby, however leaving will send you back to stage 1, so you have to do them both in one sitting. It's quite a basic obby, but has some very cool truss jumps and some interesting low roof gameplay. It stood the test of time, and people still beat it nowadays as their first tier 13. The Impossible is the first obby in this list that was made in 2017. It was created by Zephyrist. Now, compared to modern standards, the gameplay in this is a bit basic, however I think it has its charm, like a lot of high quality old obbies. Now, this obby was considered fairly easy back in the day, unlike some of the other obbies I've talked about. However, the last stage was extremely difficult and many people gave up on that stage due to its difficulty. Only a few people managed to complete the entire obby in 2018, although it is considered pretty easy nowadays. Many of the jumps were quite repetitive and included decently hard jumps that were copy-pasted 4 or 5 times. There were also some basic ladder flicks and wraparounds included. I would call it about intense or challenging difficulty, or for reference, tier 7 nowadays. The Extreme Obby is an obby made by Jacob Box in 2017. I'd personally consider it the first ever difficulty chart obby. Now, I know a lot of people say the Tower of Difficulty chart in Jadesville created this trend, but this obby came 2 years before it and is an actual difficulty chart obby. However, it doesn't follow the trends of many boring difficulty chart obbies. The stages in this obby are extremely difficult and creative for its time, and they get hard very fast. It has over 80 stages, I believe. The last ones are genuinely challenging. If you want to give it a try, best of luck. Make sure to record it, because I don't think there's anyone who has fully completed this obby and recorded it. Now, the last hit obby I want to talk about in this video is called Elite Obby. It's by Desolating Dejection, and it's a stage obby that rises in floors that was made in 2016. That's 6 years old at the time of making this video. It's the oldest hit obby I could find, and it has really enjoyable gameplay surprisingly, although the routing is very confusing, probably due to Roblox physics changes. It reminds me a bit of the final test for some of the gameplay, which shows that there was a fairly consistent gameplay style back then that's carried over for several years. However, it's a legend of its time, and I don't think any obby will ever be able to truly replicate it. It's also pretty difficult. It does still have some very difficult gameplay, although a lot of it is pretty free. I think this was basically impossible when it was made, but now I'd call it about tier 11 or 12. If you want to give it a try, go ahead. It's really enjoyable, surprisingly, especially considering the absurd time ago it was made. Well, I hope I taught you some obbies that you haven't heard of before. Some of the obbies in here are very old and very unique. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. It means a lot, and mention any other obbies that you've heard of in the comments. I'll make sure to include them if I ever make a video like this in the future. Thank you, and have a good day.